The Industry 101 Summer School Series presents a special OETV presentation. Okay. All right. Well, welcome to the Industry 101 Masterclass. Thank you guys for joining. I'm going to jump right in. We have a couple of questions that we are going to ask our special guest to answer for us, but let me first introduce him. I have joining us today Mr. Theo Ellis, who is the CEO and Chief Executive everything for Pro Sound Media. And Theo, just very quickly, why don't you just give them a little rundown about what you do?
Hi, everybody. So Pro Sound Media, we are an artist and label services company, specializing in all areas of artist and label services, but heavily in rights management, publishing, but we also do distribution, marketing, project management, anything, any service that an artist or a label may need, we are able to provide. But like I said, a lot of what people come to us for is rights management.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you for joining us today. And we appreciate you taking the time to be with us as we tackle some very crucial issues here in the music industry. Some questions that a lot of people don't really have access to someone they can ask. And so we're providing this forum for that to take place. So I'm just going to start off with the first question. Good answer, Theo. And first question is, what are the benefits of posting my music on Soundcloud? And are there any potential ways to earn an income through this platform?
So SoundCloud is an interesting platform in and of itself. To answer the first part of that question, the benefits are different for everybody. Depends on where you're at as an artist, what stage of your career you're in. But one of the things that it can be used for, and that we always encourage people to do, is put some music up there, because it is one more area that people do go to. Some fans will always go to SoundCloud first before they go anywhere else. And so, to have your music available on SoundCloud is a good thing. But I always tell our artists personally that we work with, we'll have them put it up. I never have them put it up before it's out on the other platforms, meaning before it's out on Spotify, Apple, anything like that. On rare instances, we may put it up on Spotify for a limited time. But the minute it hits Spotify, Apple, and all the other platforms, we'll pull it down, if we do put it up early. And the reason for that is to the second part of your question.
Okay.
Which is, are there potential ways to earn income through this platform? There are. But unlike the other streaming services, SoundCloud, you have to either sign up for the SoundCloud Premiere and get distribute your music through SoundCloud Premiere, or you have to already have your publisher. You have to have a publisher, and then if your publisher has a licensing deal with them, then your publisher is able to collect some royalties. Certain distributors do distribute directly to SoundCloud. Not all of them. You'll have to check with your distributor, whether it's DistroKid, CD Baby, whoever you may use, and find out if they do distribute to them. Because if they do distribute to them, then like I said, your publisher can collect some royalties on your behalf, specifically mechanical royalties. And we can get more into that as we continue to go.
Okay, so essentially what you're saying is that there are ways to generate revenue through SoundCloud.
Correct.
And that it's preferable, though, to not be the first platform that you post your music if you intend to make money.
Correct.
That some of the other platforms, if you have good distribution through a Spotify or an iTunes, Amazon, or whoever, you would prefer they do that first.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We deal, primarily with independent artists. Like that's the bulk of our business is independent artists. We do some work with people that are signed in major labels and stuff, but the bulk of what we do is independent artists. And a lot of times when people come to us, they'll, hey, my whole fan base, man, everybody goes to SoundCloud for my stuff. That's good. But at the same time, if that's the only place you're releasing your music, then it's not generating money for you. And if it is, it's a very small amount. But again, the only way it's going to be generating money for you is if A, your distributor distributes to them directly, and then B, you have a publisher which can collect the mechanical royalties that would come from that, and then C, the other way, which is if you have the SoundCloud Premiere and you distribute directly to SoundCloud through SoundCloud Premiere.
Okay, so then what do you say to someone who has already has music out there that they've released, and perhaps they're looking about a way to generate revenue with that? Is there a way to recover some way and take it down and repost it, or some kind of way that they can still go back and find a way to generate revenue through the beats or songs they already have up there?
Your publisher can search for mechanical royalties to see if there are any unclaimed royalties out there for you. But again, that requires either you forming your own publishing company and taking that task on yourself, or signing up with the publisher and having them look for those. And again, when it comes to unclaimed royalties, we can only go back, there's only a certain timeline. We can't go back 20 years, can't go back 10 years. Generally speaking, the window is, you're looking at 18 months. Sometimes you can get up to a little bit more than 2 years worth, but generally speaking, you can't go back much further than that as far as any unclaimed royalties that you may be owed from SoundCloud.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I'm going to open it up now to our student participants. Does anyone have any questions about what they've heard so far?
No, that was absolutely informative.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, I'm done. Thank you. Good night.
I would like to take a moment before I go any further just to introduce another student who joined us. He's tardy, so he's going to have to stay after school. Mr. Roosevelt Theodore, thank you for joining us, Roosevelt.
Hey, what's up? No problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I know he was traveling before he came in, so he came right off the road and joined us. So one of the things I'd like to do now is before I even move on to the next question that I would like to ask, I would like to direct questions at some of our student participants because we have a little bit of time. We can do that. How many of you, first of all, heard something in what Theo mentioned for the first time? Never heard any of that before? Just show of hands. Okay, so given what you've just heard, what do you think now about the SoundCloud platform in terms of how you'll use it moving forward?
Well, me personally, I found it very interesting that there are two ways of going about getting revenue from SoundCloud. I knew about the SoundCloud Premiere and the SoundCloud Go feature, but I wasn't aware that you can get revenue with a publisher and have a publisher, claim unclaimed royalties for you and actually do that aspect for you. That was something I was not informed about, and thank you for that.
Okay. Anybody else? Mr. Green, did you have your hand up, sir?
Yeah, that's I never heard any of that information before. I didn't know you can distribute directly to them from your own company, and that's how you can receive revenue. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that your publisher can push to get your royalties as far as 18 months back from the activity you already had on your SoundCloud. So it was very informative, very useful information.
Very good. Roosevelt, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I just found it. I found it interesting because he said you can't. Like, I just found it interesting that you should use other platforms like Apple Music or something like that to get more revenue. And SoundCloud, I guess, isn't the best route unless you get the SoundCloud Premiere. I didn't know about SoundCloud Premiere, so maybe I have to look more into that.
Okay. All right. That's good. That's good. So this next question, thank you for your responses, guys. This next question is something that Theo and I have talked about fairly recently, which I found very interesting, and I know that's not common knowledge. So the next question is, are there any potential copyright issues with selling or leasing my beats? And what are the long-term challenges?
Oh, yeah. You can tell by my response.
Yeah.
So yes, we get this a lot, again, because we deal with a lot of independent artists. We and not just that, it's where, particularly in the hip hop genre, I mean, leasing beats is a business model that is tried and true. Like this is what people do. I come from an era where you would never ever do that back in the day, just because like everything is a one-off. Like that's just what it is, But I get it, you know what I mean? And I got to tell you guys something real quick. That whole wave first started. I'm talking, 10, maybe even 15 years ago, when people first started leasing beats. I was like, nobody's gonna do that. Nobody wants the same beat that somebody else got. There's no way that'll work. Well, look where we are, So, but to answer the question, it can be done right. If done right, there is some benefit to it. But the biggest thing here is you have to understand copyrights and how that works, right? So, from a copyright standpoint, right? Like there's 6 copyrights. Everything we do in music business is the licensing of those rights, okay? So if you're not familiar with them, just Google 6 copyrights, and it'll take you probably 10 million articles that'll bring them to you. But it boils down to, the licensing and leasing of that. So if you're somebody that is the rapper, okay, you've leased a beat. So someone's licensed that music to you, right? Now you don't own the copyright to that music. You own the copyright to your lyrics, because those are the 2 parts of a song, lyrics and music, right? That's what makes up a song. So from that standpoint, from a copyright standpoint, you can copyright your lyrics. You can't copyright the music. Now, if you're the producer, you copyright the music. Doesn't matter, right? You lease it 100 million times. Each one of those versions has you attached to it, right? Let's say 1,000 people leased your beat. Well, there's 1,000 times that you're attached to that, but only if you actually are attached to that. And what I mean by that is, we recently just, one of our producers, we designed and built their website. They basically wanted to do like the BeatStars thing, and rather than go through BeatStars or Airbits or one of those other ones, we just created their own website that they could lease their beats and whatnot from. And so, but as part of that, what we did was we built right into the download mechanism the agreement that you sign that says, you have to register them on the song with the PROs. And if you're not familiar, PROs, the Performing Rights Organizations, which is your BMI, your ASCAP, or your CSAT. So by very nature of them, when a person does lease that beat, they have to go ahead and register our producer on it with his name on it. That way he gets his just due. If that song were to blow up or anything like that, we know. And you're not spending your time tracking down all these 1,000 different, copies of your song that are out there, right? And that's one of the things we did to it. But yeah, there's definitely, like I said, first it depends on which side of that coin you're on. Are you the rapper or are you the producer, right? There's definitely benefit for the producer, not so much benefit if you're the rapper. If you're the guy going, hey, I want to just get this lease beat, there's no benefit from it to you. The only thing you can copyright is your lyrics. And you know, from that standpoint, it's irrelevant whether you have a lease beat or not, because you can copyright your lyrics with no music, right? Like regardless, they're your lyrics. So I always encourage everybody to not lease beats if you're a rapper and you're serious about your career. It's one thing if you're a producer and you want to, and that's your hustle. But as a rapper, the first thing you should be trying to do is define your own sound, right? And how can you define your sound if 1,000 other people have that exact same beat as you? It's not your sound, it's everybody's sound, right? So that's the first thing you should be trying to do, is define your sound. Every one of your favorite artists, you like them because they gave you something different that nobody else did, right? And so that's what you should be trying to do. Find your thing that's different from everybody else. So I always encourage all the rappers we work with, find a producer. Or if you go into the, lease beats and you see this guy, you say, man, I really like his beats, then reach out to that guy. Try and build a relationship with him. Try and get an exclusive from him, but you don't want to have the same beat that everybody else has, So that's our take on it. But, I hope that answered the question. I know I kind of went in a lot of different directions there. But it's not just there are a lot of layers to the whole leasing of beats. Like I said, starting with which side of that coin are you on, but B, if you are on the producer side, then make sure you have some type of agreements in place, so that you don't have to track down, because without those agreements, again, 1,000 people lease that beat and only one of them actually blows up, right? Okay, well, if you're not tracked on it, if you're not registered with it, then you're missing out your money. Now, you'll always own the copyright. You don't have to worry about, well, what if it blows up and they can, well, here's the thing. If it blows up and you're not registered on the song, then there's going to be some money that they're collecting from ASCAP or BMI that you won't get initially until you realize that the song, wait a minute, we're number 2 on iTunes or whatever, right? And then you'll have to do what you need to do to work on getting that money. But the bigger piece of the pie, the more important piece of it, I should say, is the fact of the copyright itself. A lot of times people worry about, well, if I don't have a copyright, it doesn't matter. Copyright exists the minute something is in a tangible form, right? So you don't have to worry about the poor man's copyright. If you ever heard of that, put a CD or something in an envelope and mail it to yourself, and then it's a poor man's copyright. You don't have to do any of that stuff. Guys like me, Robbie, old school, we grew up with that. That's what we were taught, only to find out that's not true. You don't need to do that, because the minute something is fixed in a tangible form, it's copywritten. You and I are talking about a song, right? Okay, we're talking about creating a song. Me and Mr. Roosevelt there said, man, let's make this song called, Green Eggs and Ham. This is going to be a dope song about green, and we're kicking it. You know what I'm saying? Right? Okay. Robbie overhears that. He's like, that is a good idea. He goes, you know what I'm saying? Hollers at Willie. Willie, come here, check it out. Him and Willie put out Green Eggs and Ham. Me and Roosevelt like, son of a what? And so there's nothing we could do about it. We were just talking about it. It wasn't in a tangible form, right? We can't sue. We can't say he took our idea. It wasn't in a tangible form. Now, I play some music, Roosevelt, some dope lyrics, and we play that. Robbie hears that and it's like, that is a good idea, but I can make it better. And then him and Willie go and do that. Now they've copyright infringed, right? Because our work was in a tangible form, right? Even if you write it down, even we're at the, you're at the bar hanging out with your buddies and you got a great idea for a song and you write it on a napkin, those lyrics, or chord progression or whatever. You're like, oh, let me get this down while I'm thinking about it. As long as it's written down, the minute it's in a tangible form, it's protected under copyright. Now, there are some caveats that you have to know when it comes to copyright law, which are, while it is true that it is protected, and while it is true you could take somebody to court and sue them and recover damages, because you did not officially register it with the U.S. Copyright Office, there are a couple things that you can't do, okay? One of which is get your lawyer fees back, right? So I could sue Robbie and Willie, but it's got to come out of my pocket. You see what I'm saying? And, who knows, that could cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, it's all coming out of my pocket. Whereas if the song is actually registered with the U.S. Copyright Office, then when we sue him, not only am I going to get the money that's owed to me, but he also has to pay all my attorney fees. So then if it comes to $100,000, $1 million, whatever, it doesn't matter. He's paying it, not me. Right? And there are other things that go along with that, the reasons why you want to have your song registered with the U.S. Copyright Office. But that is one of the main things is you cannot get your fees, taken care of. And again, we could give a whole 3-hour conversation on copyright. So I'll try not to go too much into all these different areas, but yeah.
Okay. All right. So anybody have any questions for Theo about what they heard? Because that was a lot of information and all very, very, very important.
A very short period of time.
Yes, sir. All right. So I see a hand up over here in the corner from Tor. Go ahead, Tor.
All right. So I'm coming from the producer standpoint here. So when you say intangible form, so when I make a beat and I post it on YouTube, that's tangible form right there.
It is, but even before that, the minute you make a beat, the minute it's saved on your computer, if you're banging out beats on an old school MPC 2000, the minute it's saved, it's in a copyright form.
Gotcha.
It's protected under copyright.
Gotcha.
I mean, remember, it's not copywritten, but it's protected under copyright. The minute it's in the minute it's in a tangible form.
Gotcha. That's awesome. Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody else have a question? Did I see a hand up? No? So everybody basically understood everything?
Yeah, we got one in Mr. Theodore there.
Oh, Mr. Theodore. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
So the U.S. Copyright Office, that's just like a website. You can Google that and what?
USCO.gov, if I'm not mistaken. Or no, copyright.gov. Sorry, copyright.gov is their website. And you can go right on there. You can complete the process online. There's small fees. The fees just went up March of this year, and I want to say I think it's $45 now. I think. Don't quote me on the fees, but the fees are listed on there. But yeah, you can just go right on there, and it's a very simple process where they have you fill out your name and some basic information. They'll have you upload an MP3 file of the song or whatever, submit it, done. And then, a little while later, depending, who knows with the whole Corona stuff right now, but whether it's a couple months or 6 months or a year, it shouldn't take a year. But the point is, some months later, you'll receive a certificate of this work has been copywritten, and it's registered with the U.S. Library of Congress, and it'll have an actual copyright number and things like that, and then you're good. Now keep in mind there's 2 copyrights, and by the way, with doing it online, both copyrights are automatically registered. Again, without sounding too old or stuff, but back when me and Robbie were first coming up, you had to submit them both separately, because remember, there's the composition, right? Like literally the sheet music and the notes and the lyrics. There's the composition, which is copyright protectable. And then there's also the sound recording, the actual audio file. They're 2 separate things. Each of them generate their own stream of royalties, and each of them are protected separately under copyright. Well, there used to be a time for me and Robbie, we'd have to submit the one form with the composition and a lead sheet, submit the other one with the actual maybe a CD or whatever physical copy of the audio file and things like that. Now with the online, you just go there and it automatically, once you submit the audio file, it automatically gives you both copyrights. So that's nice.
Right. And that's also probably why the fees have gone up now too. So because they cover both, because that was a separate fee for each time you submitted a copyright. Because you had to do the PA form if you were doing the written version, and then the SR form for sound recording. So it was pretty involved. I'm so thankful that we don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, the new Rust. And one thing, real quick, when it comes to copyright, one thing that I tell people as far as registering your stuff, there's a bundle option, if you will, that you can register up to 10 unpublished works. So they have to be unpublished. So if they haven't been released yet or anything like that, you can do 10 at a time, and I think it's like $80 to register all 10 of them, right? And again, it automatically does both sides. So technically, you're getting 20 copyrights when you think about it, because you're getting the composition and the sound recording all at the same time. But yeah, look for the option to register your group. I believe it's called Group of Unpublished Works, something to that effect. And that's why I was telling you, if you can, do it that way, because you can get 10, versus 45 a pop. You can get 10 of them for 80. Why not?
All right.
And then what? Okay, sorry.
I hate to break in there, because I think we're running out of time. But what I'd like to say, thank you for that information. So, gentlemen, I hate to end this, because we're really getting into the meat of the conversation. But I just want to thank you, Theo, for joining us. I want to thank you all, Tor and Willie and Roosevelt, for coming on board for the Industry 101 Masterclass. And we'll see you again soon.
All right, man. Peace.
All right. Take care. Thank you, Theo.
You're welcome. Anytime.
All right. And it seems like we're rushing off so much. I just wanted to take another moment to give you some information. But first, I want to thank our guest students. That would be Tor, Willie, and Roosevelt. Thank you guys for joining us for this masterclass. And I also want to give a special thank you to Mr. Theo Ellis from Pro Sound Media. So I know you were fascinated by a lot of the things that he shared with us, and you probably want to know more. So I want to give you his direct information on how you can reach him. His website information is www.prosoundmedia.com. That's www.prosoundmedia.com. And when you go onto that website, there'll be some contact information on how you can reach him. Take a look around and see all the services they're offering there, because it's a lot of great stuff. And as you can see, he's very knowledgeable about the industry. So I'm sure you can use his services if you're a fledgling out here just trying to figure it all out. If you're a new indie artist or you're established indie artist, or maybe you have some catalog out there and you're trying to figure out how to make more money and generate more money with it, this is your guy. All right. So again, thank you guys for joining us here, and we'll see you again soon on the Industry 101. I'm your host, Robbie Jenkins. Take care.
But the reason it's also considered a duplication is because how does it get to Spotify? Well, they got to make a copy of it to put it on their servers.
Right.
So it's been duplicated and it's distributed. So it actually generates two royalties. Publishers and songwriters split the royalties that they collect. So when BMI and ASCAP collects $1, 50 cents goes to the songwriter, 50 cents belongs to the publisher. Yep. Like I was saying before, you go back about 18 months, sometimes maybe 3 years. But you're not getting past that.
Yeah.